Hi, you're watching West Bloomfield 911. I'm your host, Tim Shepard, and on behalf of Chief Michael Patton and Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson and my brothers and sisters in blue, I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Joining me today is Klint Kesto. Klint is a member of the Michigan House of Representatives, representing a district primarily consisting of Wixom and Commerce Township. He has a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Michigan and a law degree from Wayne State University. Representative Kesto, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate you coming and taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Officer Shepard. And we also have West Bloomfield, part of West Bloomfield in that district.
Okay.
So had west of Farmington Road, all the way north and south from 14 Mile up to Cooley, all the way west to Haggerty, and then Commerce, Wolverine Lake, and Wixom, and been doing it 6 years.
6 years. Well, you're well known in the area and with our department, and we appreciate everything that you do for the community. I want to start with some of your background. Growing up in the area, can you go into a little detail about your youth, where you came from, and kind of go up through your education and all those kind of things?
Yeah, well, my parents came here in 1977. They're Chaldean Christians. Came from Iraq, and they came to the United States, settled in Metro Detroit area. They got married in '79, and the transgression after is a few children. So I grew up in the Southfield area, and I went to University of Michigan for my bachelor's. Got a bachelor's in political science, and went to law school right out. I wanted to go and be an attorney, so went to Wayne State Law. As I was at Wayne State Law, I did a bunch of different things. I actually worked for the city of Southfield at one point. I worked for the Department of Energy in Washington. I worked for the Department of Justice in Detroit. And also I worked for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. And during that time, I really enjoyed being a prosecutor and got an internship there and was ultimately hired after I passed the bar in '06. And then my family and I, we moved out to Commerce Township in '05. Okay. So we've been out this way for 13 years. Okay. I was a prosecutor, enjoyed it, litigated a lot of cases. You can imagine how busy the Detroit prosecutor's office is, and everything you could think of, from misdemeanors all the way up to high-level capital case felonies. I got married in 2009. And unfortunately, my wife was ill, and she passed away.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
In 10, yeah. It was tough, but with the blessings of the Lord and the graces of God, I continued on with life, of course. And then in 2012, I was encouraged by somebody to run for office. Okay. So I ran. I executed on a plan. I went door to door. I spoke to a lot of people, and was elected in 2012. I became the first Chaldean here in Michigan to be elected to the Michigan legislature. So it was a great honor, it was a great privilege, it was humbling. And during that time, I was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, I'm the chairman of the Law and Justice Committee, and then in 2015, I had met someone else and got married again.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And the Lord always has those blessings available for us. Okay. And speaking of blessings, we have two beautiful children. Ava, she's 22 months, and my son, named after me, we call him Baby Klint. Okay. So little Klint is there, and he's 9.5 months. So they were back to back, 12.5 months apart.
Well, you can see on your face the happiness your family brings you, so that's wonderful to hear.
They're the greatest joys, the children, and we're blessed as a family. Yeah. And my family's all here. My parents are in Commerce. I live in West Bloomfield. My brother's in West Bloomfield. My sister's in West Bloomfield. The other sister's in Commerce. So we're all, local. And, in the Chaldean community, it's really close-knit, family-oriented. Sure. But if you look in the West Bloomfield area, it's not just the Chaldeans, it's every culture. Okay. We're all kind of close-knit as a community in this general area. Yeah. So, I love being here, and it's great to have a family out this way.
Well, let me ask you this. This is a diverse community, and I think that, there's a lot of people that you represent, different cultures and religions and things like that. What do you feel has been your driving force to come and go into political life? What and I think part of it would be where you grew up, right? And some of it may be the people you've met. But for you, you expressed to me what has been a driving force for you to go into public life and make a difference in the community and in society in general.
Yeah. You know, I grew up, we had family businesses. They were in retail, convenience store, dollar store. So it was always serving people that were coming in. Okay. And in my profession as an attorney, I think I continued to serve as a prosecutor, serving those that were victims of child abuse, serving those that were victims of people who preyed on the elderly, people just out there that needed a voice in the courtroom. And so we would serve them. I worked in public service at the Department of Energy and the Department of Justice and for the city. So I had this drive to always serve. And I think from my background being in family business and from the legal background being a prosecutor and serving, I think that the way I saw it is that we need to have elected officials that are really servants. We have these political parties, of course, Republican and Democrat and liberal and conservative and et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I think the key is that the person that you have representing you is one of integrity and service.
I agree.
Then you can look at, well, I don't like their philosophy or I don't like their political positions. That's all fine. Yeah. But if you have somebody who agrees with your political philosophy and is not a servant and doesn't have integrity, then that's a problem.
Sure.
So I think first and foremost is the character of the people. So I looked at it and said, this is an open seat. So often we look to our elected leaders and say, well, what are they doing and where are they? So I said, if I were to be blessed and get elected, I'm going to be one that is always in the community, where my ear is always available, sure, where I'm attending events, where I'm opening my doors to concerns. I mean, at the end of the day, I was a prosecutor. I didn't know everything about things on energy policy and healthcare policy, sure, but the people in the community would, and I would be there to advocate for them, okay, to represent them, and I would have the experience and knowledge as somebody who can serve and be that servant leader and accomplish the goal because of my experiences. So that's why I got into it, and I hope to continue to do it. I hope to continue to do it, hopefully in Washington and in Congress.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the driving force, is to have a way to give back. You know, I've worked on the parish council at the church. I've worked in helping the Boy Scouts. I've been a mentor while at school to, sure, to freshmen that were coming in, and this is just another way that I can do my small part to give back by being a positive figure.
Absolutely.
In politics.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you know, as far as being positive in politics and in life, and I've seen you at many events here in the township, commissioners meetings. So I know that you're very active, and you know, I know the community appreciates the hard work that you put in for everyone. Speaking of hard work, with a young family and balancing those two, it must be difficult. And maybe it's not, I don't know. I mean, as a police officer, you know, I have the same struggles. I think anybody in professional life has struggles of balancing. How do you, as a representative, balance professional and personal life?
Well, I think I've been learning. It's a learning experience. Okay. And here's why. It's because I started the position without a family.
Okay.
So I was everywhere all the time.
Okay.
But you also have to take care of your family. And after I got married, then I would take my wife to events, okay, and you know, and then after we had children, I would have to go and come back or pop in and out and just adjust.
Okay.
But you know, there's nothing like coming home, and the little one is talking. Yeah. My daughter talks, and it's daddy, 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 and I love daddy. So, you know, as much as I can balance, I think I always have that drive also to come back home, yeah, because you're out there working, but I love to have my heart melt.
Absolutely.
Right there, yeah, when I'm able
to
hold her. Yeah. So it is a balance, yeah, but it's one of those things that you have to do, and right, with patience, with prayer, with the ability to have communication with your family and with the community. In fact, I'm going tomorrow for an interview and I'm planning on maybe taking my son with me,
Oh,
and,
nice.
and just,
Okay.
hey, come on along. And I've done these, at times I'll take my daughter. We've in the past, we've gone to fireworks events, in the local community, and picnics and barbecues. And so at some point, I take my family along. And, it's, they appreciate it because I'm spending time with them.
Yeah.
But that beats just leaving them alone. So it's a balance, but it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's not for everyone. It's tough, but we work through it.
Wonderful. So what we're going to talk about when we come back from this short break is more about what you've been doing in the House of Representatives, some of your things that you've been behind and working for. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll return shortly with more West Bloomfield 911.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The West Bloomfield Police Foundation raises money to help those who protect and serve the community. Whether it's emotional or financial support, the foundation provides a helping hand to officers, their families, and those in the community. For more information on the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, contact Kurt Lawson at 248-975-8900 or visit wbpolicefoundation.org.
Welcome back to West Bloomfield 911. I'm your host, Tim Shepard. Again, I'm here with House of Representative Klint Kesto. And again, Representative Kesto, thanks again for coming out and spending some time with us. A lot of the viewers may not be well versed on politics and how the whole system works. We all know president, we all know these different categories of political levels and the variances in those. But I guess my question to you right now is, what does a House of Representative do?
Yeah, it's interesting because I go around and I talk to kids at schools and read to them, and they say, well, what do you do? What do you do? So we go into explaining, and our branches of government. We got our separation. We got our executive, which is our president and our governor, and we got our judicial branch, and that's all the judges. And then you got the lawmakers. Okay. The lawmakers I'm one of them in the legislature here in the state of Michigan, and the House of Representatives. So we're making our laws.
Okay.
We're making our laws. We are figuring out how we spend our tax dollars.
Okay.
And where we prioritize the spending. Those are the two primary things we're doing. In fact, constitutionally, I think really we're obligated to pass a budget.
Okay.
We have all these other laws that we pass, laws that support our law enforcement,
Okay.
Laws that assist our schools, laws regarding how we deal with technology,
Okay.
Cell towers and small cells and how we can expand it, and various regulations in healthcare or otherwise. So we pass those laws as well. So what I do is, on a day-to-day basis, is first off, I have to listen to my constituents to see what direction, how I should be voting.
Okay.
Now I represent 90,000 people, and it's probably a mixed district.
Okay.
It's about 53% Republican and 40-something% Democrat, and then within those you have some independents, and within those you have different people that have different priorities in terms of issues.
Okay.
Some are more conservative, some are more liberal, some are more moderate. So I have to take into account all of these things, but still I have to stand by my philosophy and values. That's why I was elected, because people said, we want you to go and do that job based on your beliefs. So I know people say, well, you're not doing what we told you to do. But the representative works where you say, who is the person who is going to represent us? And we send that person based on their judgment.
Okay.
So I chair a committee. I previously chaired the Judiciary Committee, and I also chair the Law and Justice Committee now. And I also sit on 3 other committees this term. I've sat on other committees in the past.
Okay.
So on a day-to-day deal. When it's my committee, I'm the chairman. I set the agenda. We bring forth the pieces of legislation and the proposals of law. We call them bills that people want to put before us, and we take testimony and we have hearings and witnesses come up to us.
Okay.
And then when it's not my committee, I'm just a member of a different committee, I listen and we'll vote on those bills. We'll vote on those proposals. In addition to that, I have meetings with various people, whether they're constituents, whether they're associations, whether they're concerned advocates, because ultimately, I am not going to be an expert on every single small issue.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm a prosecutor. I could tell you about criminal laws and the law enforcement space and, you know, corrections.
Okay.
But it would be a little difficult on the energy side.
Okay.
Or on, you know, some healthcare stuff, or on various different things. So we have to hear from people to get educated, to also hear their position, see both sides. So sometimes I'm in the committees, sometimes I'm in meetings understanding issues and learning myself. And then at other times we're on the House floor together voting on the bills that have now come out of committee. The proposals that have come out of committee are now before all of us. And so that's kind of the day, and it takes hours and hours. And then after that, I would leave and come to the community events to hear from the constituents and see them and say hello. Yeah. So my days are probably, you know, my weeks are probably in the 80 hours, 70 hours worth of work between legislative and between community.
It takes a lot of dedication, I think, to you know, dedication to civil service and to the public to really be able to do that. You know, I know as a police officer, we're similar in ways that, you know, we give up a lot of our time to the community. And I think it's important that people understand that as a politician or a police officer, that it's a selfless, it really is a selfless thing. I mean, you could go into private practice, and I would imagine you would, and this is just, I don't know, but I would imagine that the financial payback would be much higher in the private world compared to the public world. So just from your perspective, as far as the giving back and the compensation and things like that, is it important to you that you are fulfilled because of how you feel in your heart about what you're giving? What has driven you at this point to be where you're at, and hopefully down the road move up through the ranks and things like that?
Yeah, you know, we have different laws that we pass and proposals, and we shape kind of the future. Okay. And it takes some time for these things to get implemented and to see the real results, whether it be in education or, you know, from the tax basis, to fixing our roads, whatever it might be. So it's fulfilling to see those come to fruition in a positive way. Okay. But I'll tell you this, I think some of the most ways that I appreciate my job is when I can help a constituent out. Okay. You know, a woman had called me, her husband had passed away, he was operating the business, she had no idea what was going on with the finances and the taxes and the state and this, and she was just bawling, she was crying. And I knew her and I said, okay, I can't just say, you know, get yourself a lawyer or go handle it on your own. So I helped her out. Okay. She was in so much happiness. She was crying on my shoulder saying thank you. We helped her navigate through the issues in the state, make sure she gets all the stuff transferred over from her husband's name to her name, even in that difficulty of a stressful time because of a loss, operating a business you have no idea about. And she was so appreciative, but really I felt satisfied that this person was not left to hang out to dry. Another lady came to my coffee hours, which I do once a month, three times a month on one day, one of the days, third Friday of the month. And she brought her son, who was an infant. And I see it now that I have my son, how, you know, and she says he has a rare disease, and our insurance doesn't want to reimburse because it's such a rare disease, so we can't get any treatment. And I said, we can't have that.
Yeah.
Look, we're here to save lives. If we're not here to help, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
So I picked up the phone. I called the CEO of the healthcare insurance plan. I called the hospital where they were going. I called the doctors. I said, look, we're going to figure this all out. We're going to make sure that this kid gets exactly what he needs. So then I'm walking in the Walled Lake Memorial Day Parade. She runs up to me. She gives me a hug. She says, here's my son. You saved his life. I mean, I wasn't the doctor.
Right.
I just did my small part.
Sure.
In making sure that every opportunity is available for me to be able to help and to actually get it done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my motto is look, we have to find solutions.
Okay.
It's so easy to find problems.
Yeah.
Right? But when we get to a solution, then we feel good because it's that sense of accomplishing it for the better. Look, enough is enough. If we're not here to help, then what are we doing here? Get the right people here.
I agree.
And that's kind of how I want to go. I know we mentioned Sheldon Yellen earlier, who I think you guys will be interviewing or have interviewed. And his motto was, do the right thing, DTRT. And when I sat down with him, I brought that up. I said, you know, this is how I operate, do the right thing. He says, that is my motto. That's what how I live. Do the right thing. So, I mean, he's such a great person as a mentor and a great member of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
I say that's his phrase of do the right thing should be across the board in politics, in business, in law enforcement, in our schools, in our streets. And so when you look at the sense of accomplishment is that if I'm able to help out, then we feel good about it.
Yeah.
And not so much that I mean, you get enjoyment out of other people's happiness
I
and
agree.
enjoyment.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a selfless type of thing.
Yeah.
It's and it's, you know, the better way to operate and to work.
I agree. In life in general,
You
right?
know.
Let me ask you this.
I don't want to go. I'm not here to get elected because of an ego. I'm not here to go to Washington to have an ego. I'm not here to be out in the spotlight and in the limelight. I mean, we know politicians are saying, hey, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So rather than the spotlight and the limelight and the ego, look, I'm here to help. And if I can do that, then I'll feel the happiness.
Yep, I agree. Yep, I agree. And I want to make sure that the viewers can get access to you. So is there a website? Is there a phone number? What's the best way for people to be able to learn more about you and be able to contact you? I don't know how all of it works in terms of...
It's kind of neat because we have a 855 number, like a toll-free number.
Okay.
And it just so happened, my last name is 5 letters, Kesto, K-E-S-T-O.
Okay.
My district is 2 numbers, 3939. So they could call me at 855-KESTO-39.
Nice.
It's simple. It's easy.
And as far as, is there social media? Are you on social media?
I'm on social media. You can follow me at State Representative Klint Kesto,
Okay.
Klint Kesto for Congress, or my personal page, Klint Kesto, all on Facebook. On Instagram, Klint Kesto, and on LinkedIn for those that are interested in on the business kind of social media side.
Okay.
You can find me on there. It's Klint Kesto, of course.
Okay.
And Twitter, we're on Twitter at Klint Kesto. So I try to use all the avenues.
Absolutely.
Connect to everybody. You know, it's interesting. People say social media, you hit the youth, you get the young people. But I'll tell you what, it's in every age.
Absolutely.
So it's a great medium for communication.
Okay.
I've had so many people message me right directly on that, which is fine. I have no problem with it. And if you call my office, we got some staff, good staff, and we'll be able to handle and field your calls.
It seems like you're easily connected and be able to be reached. Now, we're going to wrap it up here in a second, but I just want to ask you, is there anything that you want to let your constituents or the people of the community know? Here's an opportunity for you. Go ahead and say that.
Yeah, you know, Officer Shepard, here's the thing. You know, I came in, I wasn't in politics.
Okay.
I was a prosecutor. That is my profession. I'm not a politician. But I went there with an eye of getting things done and solving problems. One of the big things, and you know this, is that we're dealing with is opioid crisis.
Yes.
We're dealing with a mental health crisis.
I agree.
And we have to help our veterans that are coming in, that get involved in all these things. And it ultimately leads on our corrections and criminal justice system.
Sure.
And our emergency rooms in the hospital. So I was the chair of a Michigan Cares Task Force, and people could just Google it. MI Cares Task Force, Michigan House of Representatives. And I said, we're going to approach this from a solution-oriented, a cutting-edge, thinking outside of the box type of policy. Because it's easy for folks to come and say, well, we just need more money and more money and more money, and then we can make a better program.
Okay.
But the pot is only limited, the pie is only so big, and the funds are limited.
Okay.
So what we did was think in creative ways. And we came up with about 42 proposals. And we already started passing them out. I bring that up because of this, because these issues are serious.
Sure.
And they affect us.
Yes.
They affect us as individuals, not as people who are Democrats or Republicans, not as people who are, in government or not in government, or people who are wealthy or poor,
Okay.
or people who are whatever religion or race or creed. It affects us because these issues don't have any lines of demarcation
Okay.
as to who they impact. And it's about time we fix our mental health system.
I agree.
It's about time we start addressing our opioid abuse epidemic. We start helping our veterans that are serving our country and yet come back here, they have post-traumatic stress or other issues. Maybe they self-medicate. 1 out of 4 are committing suicide. And it's time that we start using our tax dollars not to put people behind bars and have them housed there when they have issues, but really to fix the issues. And so I looked at it as a way to see problems, but to tackle them with real solutions. And I'll be there as somebody who will serve in a positive way and in a positive direction.
Well, it's wonderful, and it's great to see your passion for community service. As a police officer, I appreciate what you've done, and I think the community in general is appreciated. And I want to thank you for coming in today and spreading some more of your message. And if anyone of our viewers would like to get a hold of or learn more about Representative Kesto, you can check the social media we spoke about. And I want to thank everyone for joining us for this episode of West Bloomfield 911. You can keep up with the police department by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also sign up for Nixle.com and crimemapping.com for the most up-to-date information from the police department. Thank you very much again. Take care. Goodbye.